Hi there, and welcome to lesson one of the Tiny Finger Takeoff. I'm so glad that you're joining me on this journey, and I know you're going to love teaching in this creative and interactive way with your young beginners. So we start the very first lesson with the warm-up routine. Now, this is where we stand facing our students and we're going to swing our arms around. So it's sometimes called knocking on heaven's door. You're just swinging them and letting your arms flop at your sides, either side of you. And then you lift up your arms and drop them down 3 times. Both of these activities are designed to get your students' head into their arms. In other words, get them to feel what it feels like when their arms are relaxed, and what it feels like when they fall naturally, and what it feels like when they're holding them up. Because we need to bring their attention to how it feels when they are free from tension in their arms so that we can do these nice key flops later on. So start with that and build that into your lesson routine at the very start of every lesson going forward. It just should be a standard part of your student comes into the studio, you do that together, and then you sit down. It's part of building a routine, and you should get them to do this in their practice at home. So get the parents, make sure that they know how to do this routine, and that it's going to be part of the practice at home as well. The next thing we do is we look at dogs and gates. And if you're not familiar, these are these little cards, and they just have dogs and gates on them. And what we do is we place these on the keys. So I would like to start this with saying, okay, see this little dog here? We have these group of 2 and 3 black keys. Now, the dog sits perfectly on the 2 black keys. And we'll do a few of those, and I'll help them as much as they need. Don't worry if your young beginner is doing this or putting it here or whatever. If they're not seeing the pattern straight away, that's totally normal. At this age, they really don't see that. That's why we're doing this fundamental work to help them navigate the piano. So I do the dogs, we do a few of those, maybe even the whole piano, and then I'll get a gate out and say, well, where do you think this goes? If they're doing well in the beginning with the dogs, I'll mix it up more, going back and forth between the 2. But if they're struggling a little bit, leave that to all the dogs, all the gates, and ignore the bottom black key, the one on its own, the A flat. After we do that, I want to wake up their ears. So we've woken up their arms and their eyes. Now it's for their ears. And for this, I have a playlist prepared for you on YouTube. Now, if you have other tracks that you'd like to use, go for it. There's nothing to say that these are the correct ones. I just grouped together a few tracks that I like to use that represent different animals. I do like the idea of using something with a strong visual attached to it, like an animal, because it helps you to talk about the sounds on the piano. So this playlist starts off with the bear, which I'm sure you're familiar with, and then it goes on to include the butterfly and all sorts of lovely animals as well. So we've got butterfly, horseman, the elephant from Carnival of the Animals, a few from Carnival of the Animals there. And I like to get them drawing doodles of these animals, talking, discussing why it sounds like a bear. And always when I introduce a new one, I'll ask them what they think it is and why they think it sounds like that. What is it that the composer has done to make it sound like a bear? Are they high notes? Are they low notes? It helps you to talk about all of these kind of oral ideas. The next thing in our plan is to do some improvisation and playing the black key groups. So we get them to play the black key groups first, and I'll do this without the dogs and gates, so we will have taken them away at this stage, but if they're struggling, bring them back. Do the whole dogs and gates thing again and get them to play 2 black keys going up. Now, it won't look half as graceful as my hand did just then. It's likely going to look like this, or, you know, some strange position. Don't even worry about it. This is just about getting them to play and getting them to feel confident that they can explore the piano. You know, in a way you can divide these young students into 2 categories. The ones who sit down and want to bash everything, and the ones who are terrified to even touch a key. And I do get about 50-50 of both. Not all preschoolers are smashing away at the keys. In fact, some are quite tentative. So I like to make sure that they know what the rules are and the framework is, but that they feel confident that there's no wrong way to do it. If they play the 2 black keys, I'm happy. Once they've explored the black key groups again, we'll do some improvisation. Now, I think it's really important to make this an integral part of your lessons from the very beginning. It doesn't have to be complicated, but make sure that you accompany them with something. It really doesn't matter what it is. It could just be a 4-chord pattern. Anything will do. Now, if you're stuck on this, I recommend picking up Forrest Kinney's books called Create First. They have great duets in them, along with scales that go with them on the top, and there's loads on just the black keys. There's one called For the Joy, which I really love. It goes very simple, but it provides this framework for your student to explore on the top and makes them sound fantastic. Because this doesn't sound so amazing, but when you add the pedal and a couple of chords from you, it'll sound amazing. If you have 2 students together, if you're teaching a partner buddy lesson, even better. Hold down the pedal, get some way for the pedal to stay down, whether it's that you have a pedal extender and they can do it, or you just put your foot on the pedal, or you put a brick on it. It really doesn't matter. The important part is it's down. And get one student to do long notes down low, and the other to do shorter notes up high. Doesn't have to be any kind of meter or any kind of structure to it other than that. It will sound good in any case. And again, if your student is just bashing away at the keys, if they're playing a bunch at a time, if it doesn't sound anything like music, don't worry about it. That's part of the process. That's part of why we're doing this, in fact. So just continue the process, and gradually, as they gain a bit of confidence, start to say, what would it sound like if you tried one key at a time? How about we use just the left hand this time? That kind of thing. Direct them a little bit, but mostly this is just about exploring and them getting assimilated into what music sounds like and feels like.